how to avoid making mistakes when you're trying to start something new in life, whether it's a new journey or a new career or a new business, as in my case. Is that even possible? Please stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to tell you the absolute biggest mistakes you could possibly make and how to avoid them. This is critical if you want success, guys. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Lucina Singer. My friends call me Layla. If you're not familiar with what's going on here, I am bipolar, ADHD, and recovering from suicidal depression and trying to start my own business. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling with these issues and are trying to create some kind of success for themselves in their lives, whether it's, what you consider big or small. And so I'm trying to share the things that have worked for me and are working for me as I go, so that hopefully maybe some of the things that have worked for me can work for you in whatever you're trying to accomplish as well. So in the process of trying to start my own business, I have just hit the inevitable point of overwhelm. Those of us with ADHD, we start so many things that end up just never getting off the ground or never going anywhere, that we have in mind when we first start them, because we hit this wall of overwhelm. And then we go, oh no, what am I gonna do? And we're not the only ones who deal with this. The videos that I'm watching, the mentors that I'm following, the term that keeps getting thrown around is analysis paralysis. You don't have to be ADD to get analysis paralysis. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm sort of referring to it as entrepreneur's block, because I've got a very, very long list of things that I need to do, that I need to get done, any of which I could go ahead and do, not necessarily in any particular order that they need to be done. There are definitely some that are higher priority than others, but I'm finding myself with any particular thing I look at on my list, having reasons why maybe not that one, maybe not this one just yet, because I should do this one first. Or, if I'm going to do this one, maybe I should wait until payday, because money's an issue right now, of course. I've got to subscribe to some services that are going to be monthly, require small monthly charges. And I'm like, well, if I put that off another month or two, then that's another month or two I don't have to pay for, so, but maybe I should get them done now because I need this information when I sign up for this one so that's where I'm at. And I'm finding myself terrified to make a mistake. And that right there it doesn't matter whether you're trying to start a business or you're trying to choose a new career. There's so many times that we get hung up in being terrified that we're going to make a mistake. And I think we get so hung up in that, as I'm doing at the moment, that we forget that, well, you're gonna make mistakes. You just are. It's not avoidable, So the idea of trying so hard to avoid making any mistakes, I have to stop and remind myself that that's a little ridiculous. Now, try to be careful not to make big ones. Don't make stupid mistakes. But like, for example, reflecting in where I'm at right now in this entrepreneurial journey. I've been doing this attempting to do this anyway, for about 6 to 8 months, give or take. And I can look back now and I can see some of the decisions that I've made that were mistakes. And unfortunately, some of them were a little bit costly. And in reflecting whether or not I could have had any control over that, well, of course I could have had control over it, but how much foresight maybe I could have had, it's really kind of difficult to say. Like, at the time, it certainly seemed like it was a good decision based on the factors that I weighed to make that decision. And, had I chosen to do things a little bit differently, they would have been good decisions. But because I opted to go the direction that I did, I had to look back and say, well, those were unfortunate decisions. And, they're in the past, so there's nothing I can do about them. But they're not breaking my journey. They're not making this not possible for me. They're just something that if I hadn't done them, things would be a little bit better now. Things would be a little bit expedited. But there's no such thing as a perfect journey. You're never going to make every single decision correctly. And some of these were big decisions that were relatively expensive. But again, looking back, I don't think I made any stupid decisions. I think I was careful and I was not impulsive. And, so far so good. And I'm trying to make the best of those decisions. And that's really the best you can do. You cannot run such a preventative campaign for whatever success journey you're on that you are going to prevent mistakes. If that's what you're shooting for, you are probably slowing down your own progress by doing that. which is what I'm doing. And so I'm actually filming this video today on this particular day that I'm filming because of this, because this is something that I'm struggling with very hard today. I struggle with it a little bit every day, but today's particularly bad. So I thought this would be the right time for me to go ahead and make this video for you guys and share this. So in reflecting on this and in watching all of the videos that I'm watching and talking to all the mentors that I'm talking to and doing all the studying that I'm doing about how to achieve success. It's not necessarily success in entrepreneurship, but just success in general. And the biggest mistake, hands down, the absolute biggest mistake that people make, so I'm told, is this mistake right here. This just being so afraid of making mistakes that you're afraid to move forward. You're afraid to go. You're afraid to do it. I have things on my list that when I'm done shooting this video, I'm going to have to edit this video before I post it, of course, but I'm going to put that off until a better time, because as soon as I'm done making this video, the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at my list and I'm going to pick one thing and I'm going to do it today. And that's how you have to do it. You can't be so terrified of whether or not you're doing these things in the right order. You know, if you're about ready to make a big mistake, you will know. You will absolutely know. Your intuition will kick in and go, don't do that. do that one first. So that's why when people say don't overthink something, that's what they mean by that. Because, you know, there is absolutely a point where wisdom is a part of the decision-making process, but wisdom is typically very fast. Wisdom is usually something that it comes from this very sort of, you know, stored way back here place that doesn't require a whole lot of this, you know, calculating and, you know, doing all that. Wisdom isn't, you know, like this very complex, intricate, calculated formula. Wisdom is very, very basic, and wisdom is usually the one that will jump forward and say, do that one first. Not because none of the other ones can be done first, but just because wisdom is really good at taking taking the big picture and narrowing it down based on, you know, all of these little factors that you are and aren't considering, all of them, and just coming up with, you know, really quickly, this one right here. Now, maybe this one right here would also be good, maybe this one right here would also be good, but for whatever reason, wisdom just kicked into that one. It may just be because it was, you know, you wrote it in a different color than the other one, and it doesn't really matter that much. And that's how much it doesn't matter. So wisdom just grabbed that one, you know. But if that one was a really dumb decision, then wisdom would not base it on the color that you wrote it in that ink. If that first decision that you come up with makes your stomach feel tight for some reason, and you're like, I don't know about that. You know, she said not to overthink it. She said to just make a decision real quick, but I really don't feel good about this. That's the stuff back here, kicking you in and saying, hey, you know, you picked that just because you wrote it in the color purple and you like the color purple, but don't do that one first because it's not going to be good for you if you do. So trust that feeling. You know, I'm not one of those people who says that your intuition is always correct. I don't believe that. But what your intuition is it is wise based on your life experiences and knowing you and knowing your abilities and knowing what you know. Wisdom is not a psychic. Wisdom is the little worker in the back of your factory who knows all the details that you know and just happens to be the best one at sifting out the unnecessary details and only keeping the necessary details and then pushing them forward and saying, this right here is what you want to work with. So that right there. If you can focus on that voice, meditation helps a lot, by the way, with that. If you can focus on that voice, that little back of your head voice that doesn't overthink and it is only concerned about not making very major mistakes, and all the rest of the little ones, that little voice knows you will get them worked out, who just says, yes, I know all these details, I know all this overthink, I know all of this stuff, I get it. This right here is all you need to think about. If you can get really good at hearing that voice, your success will soar, absolutely soar. And that voice is also confident that it knows that we know how to navigate small mistakes. Or even if you make moderately large mistakes that at the time, you know, right now, this looks like it may or may not be a smart decision, can't really tell. Based on all the factors, it looks like it could go either way. Well, if it goes well, great. If it doesn't, we can handle it because we're smart and we're resourceful. So just commit to saying, you know, I'm tough. I can handle mistakes. I've been making mistakes all my life. I've made some pretty big mistakes. And what's the difference? For whatever reasons that you have made mistakes that you regret in the past, something that like this path you're on right now to try to change your life, to try to do something that's going to really, really improve the quality of your life and make you feel good about your life for a change and make you feel like you've actually accomplished something. When you make mistakes along that journey, you don't have to regret those mistakes. You don't have to look at those mistakes and go, what was I thinking? Why did I do this? You did this because this was a good thing to pursue. And the mistakes that you made were inevitable. Maybe not those particular mistakes, but if you didn't make this one, you'd make this one. You're going to make mistakes. My mother, when I was, I think 12 years old, no, I couldn't have been 12. I had to have been younger than that, maybe 9 or 10. I don't remember how I was young. And my mother bought me my very first pocket knife, little itty bitty folding pocket knife. And I saw it in the shop, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, I want that one. And I don't even remember if that was the plan that day. I just remember that I liked the way it looked, and my mom bought it for me. But before she bought it for me, she warned me. She said, now, before I buy you this knife, you have to understand something. And you have to agree to understand this. And if you're not okay with this, then I'm not going to buy you this knife. You will cut yourself. You will. And if you're afraid of that, and if you can't handle that, then I'm not going to buy you this knife. You shouldn't have this knife. And I said, okay. And so she bought me the knife. And I don't think I ever cut myself with that knife. But I do remember every single time I picked that knife up, I remembered her saying that. And I think every single pocket knife I have ever had since then, maybe even every knife I've ever put my hand on, somewhere in the back of my head, I got this voice in my head saying, you will cut yourself. Absolutely will cut yourself. And of course I have. And, getting cut is not that bad. It's not fun. It's not great, but there's worse things that can happen. So I wasn't ever going to not have a knife just so that I don't ever get cut. We've got to acknowledge that. We've got to understand that that's something that we deal with, especially if we're neurodivergent or dealing with any kind of mental illness. We're just constantly beating ourselves up about all the awful things we've done and all the mistakes we've made. Because so many of them were big and we feel like they've ruined our lives, and so many of the little ones have just piled up, and so it's just getting where we're tired of mistakes. We don't want to make any more. But we're going to, and that's okay. Everybody will. You always will. For the rest of your life, you are going to be making mistakes, probably on a mostly daily basis. But we just need to make better mistakes, if that's a thing. And I definitely feel like if you're in pursuit of something like this in your life, and you're trying to change your life, and you're trying to take control of your life, and you're trying to really accomplish something that you can feel good about, and you can feel excited about, those mistakes, those are good mistakes. Those are the kinds of mistakes you want to make. Not the mistakes because you're trying to avoid life and you're making bad decisions in trying to avoid life, because life is unavoidable, and life, constantly knocks you down and reminds you that it's unavoidable. And so those mistakes, let's get rid of all those mistakes. Anyway, if any of that is helpful for you because you're struggling with something similar right now, you're on some kind of journey that you're finding yourself just, locked in the gears, because you're hung up on something, please post them in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I would love to be able to be there for you guys and share other things that are working. I'm just not trying to cram it all into one video and make you guys sit through it. So anyway, love you guys. Like and subscribe, turn on notifications, that little notification bell, if you want to keep following this journey with me. Look for me on the other socials. Those are coming up very soon. If you're watching this video after the fact, they're probably already up because I'm literally going to do that this week. So anyway, love you guys. See you on the road. Take care.